Guys, I only trained with bands for a month because I wanted to see if I could build muscle using only resistance bands. Some guys love bands, while other guys say they're useless. So I put them to the test. So what did I find out? Well, let's just say I wasn't expecting this. All right, guys, there's bands and then there's bands. All right, I highly recommend you guys do this. Get at least 2 full sets. I have 3 full sets. And then I went to Home Depot and I bought these big old hooks. They just got a big wood screw on them and I screwed them into studs, and I got a low one, a mid height, and a high anchor point, okay? And then I did it all again over here. So I got them nice and separated by, 8 to 10 feet. And then I put a screw and a stud in the ceiling up there, okay? So 3 complete sets of bands really dramatically increases the effectiveness of bands, all right? I've talked about this before in some of my other YouTube band videos, but this is fantastic. So if you guys are putting together your own little home gym, please guys, do it this way. These bands cost $20 on Amazon. So you're looking at 60 bucks, and each one of these hooks is $1.25. Simple, easy peasy, and cheap. All right, so I decided to do basically only upper body exercises with bands because when it comes to doing your lower body, bands just aren't that great, all right? You really need heavier weight, and it just gets a little too contrived. But for doing my upper body, man, there are a ton of fantastic exercises, and by setting these bands up in this manner, they are almost as good as those super expensive cable crossover machines at the gym that cost, I don't know, $5,000, $6,000. All right, so I'm just gonna step you through a lot of the different exercises that I did over the last month, and I'm gonna show you exactly which muscle groups each exercise hits. All right, this is a fly exercise for my pecs, and the neat thing about doing it with anchors at different heights is you can emphasize different areas of your chest. So I have it at the upper anchor or the high anchor point. So I'm just going to step forward, okay? Because remember, I want there to be tension at the very beginning of the movement. This is the beginning of the movement here. So I already got some nice tension in these bands, and I'm going to have to lean over and just really brace myself. So guys, this feels almost identical to those cable crossover machines at the gym. And it's so much better than having just one set of bands and having the anchor directly behind me. Because see how, because the anchors are spread out so far, that as I'm doing this, the tension in the bands is really pulling my hands apart through the entire range of motion. If that anchor was directly behind me, when I got here, the bands would be pulling straight back to the anchor behind me and not trying to pull my hands apart. So great exercise. And let me show you 2 other quick variations. I want to show you how easy it is to change this thing up. So I got one big carabiner there, all right? Move it down here. Move it down to the low anchor. Get back over here. Okay, here we go. These are band flies with a low anchor, and it's emphasizing the upper part of my chest. Now it's still getting my entire chest, but I'm putting a little more emphasis on the upper part. And you saw how easy and quick it was to switch the anchor points. It's that simple, guys. All right, let's do some different exercises for my shoulders and for my back. This is a fantastic exercise for the rear part of your delts and also the rhomboids, okay? The upper back muscles, fantastic. I do this at the gym with the cable machines. So here we go. You can't use nearly as much weight because these are small muscles, but remember, I don't want to be too close to the anchors up here because there's no tension. So I step back away. Now I already have a little tension. All right, so here's the movement. Man, this is absolutely fantastic. Love it. Whew. All right. We're just getting started, guys. Tons of great exercises with bands. All right, now I'm going to recreate some really good back exercises from the gym right here with some resistance bands. And I'll put it in the ceiling, guys, because it's higher up than, say, at the top of a door where you see me do a lot of other videos inside the house. And you get way more stretch, okay? Those bands are already have a lot of tension at the very beginning of the movement. It's just way more effective. The higher you can get the anchor, the better. All right, here we go. Let's just do some lat pull downs to begin with here, guys. I'm just focusing on pulling my elbows down. Not really worried about the handles. And I'm trying to get full range of motion. Really get a good stretch at the top here, guys. And then slow squeeze, hold at the bottom. Wow. Almost as good as having a full $5,000 cable pull-down machine at home. All right, this is another great exercise for your back. These are straight arm pull-downs. I do these at the gym every back day, so you can't use, as much band resistance. And of course, y'all are gonna have to experiment and figure out, what color combination is right for you. But once you figure it out, it's the same thing over and over, okay? So see how I've stepped away from the anchor, so there's already some tension. And I'm just gonna bend over and kind of look down at the floor, and I'm just gonna pull down to my sides. I'm feeling this in my lats and the small muscle groups right under your armpits. That's your teres minor and teres major. All right, so just another great exercise that I throw in there for my back when I'm using bands at home. And dude, this is the way, if you can, all right, this is the way to set up your garage or even inside your house if you got a workout room. Way more effective to have multiple sets of bands with all these different anchor points scattered and spread apart. All right, I've been showing you some good chest and back exercises. This is another great back exercise, and this is how easy it is to move from exercise to exercise if you got the right setup. So here we go. Do this, put it down there. I'm already set up. Let's do some one-arm rows, okay? So remember, I'm standing back so that I already have some good tension here, all right? And I'm just gonna brace my upper body and my off leg, and I'm just gonna row. Pull this back. Good extension, total stretch at the bottom. All right, and then bring that elbow back to your side, okay? Bring the elbow back to your hip and hold it for a 1 count. All right, and then we're just gonna switch to the other side here. man, it's great, guys, and it's so simple. If you just do a little bit of work ahead of time, setting up all these different anchors in the correct location, you do it once and you never have to worry about it again. All right, guys, I've shown you a bunch of different chest and back exercises that are fantastic on bands. Let's hit our triceps now. This is killer, and this is basically my go-to tricep exercise when I'm working out at the gym on the cable machines. All right, here we go. I'm gonna get down on my knees, because remember, I want it to have some tension at the very beginning of the movement. All right, so this is the starting point right here, and I'm just gonna push down. I'm trying to keep my elbows basically as still as possible and right next to my side. And then at the bottom, I want to really lock my elbows out and flex my triceps, all right? Go down, push, 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 flex, and then control the bands on the way up. Don't let your arms just shoot up, all right? Because the upward part of this movement here is the eccentric part, and that's just as important for building muscles as when you're pushing down. When you're pushing down, that's called the concentric portion. So guys, oh man, I'm feeling the burn. There's lactic acid, okay? This is a fantastic tricep exercise. It's basically the same as what I would do at the gym. So of course, when I'm at the gym, I don't just do that one exercise I showed you. I really like to do a reverse grip tricep push down. You do it here the same way. So I'm gonna hold the other one still, okay? Because it goes through a loop up there. So I'm just gonna be focusing on my left hand now. So I'm starting here. See how I have this underhand grip? This, I call it reverse grip. I'm gonna bring my elbow here and I'm just gonna work my left arm. So, yes, I'm still hitting the tricep, but because I've rotated my hand, all right, into this position where my palm is facing up, I call it a reverse grip. I'm actually attacking my tricep muscles from a different angle, and man, it works fantastic. And then I just switch over to the other side. And guys, really do both. Don't just do one exercise for your tricep. The trick is lots of different exercises for the same muscle group is way, way more effective than just picking your favorite exercise and doing a ton of sets of that one exercise. Oh man. Great burn. All right, so this is just a single set of bands now. Of course, I've got the handles on both ends here, you know, obviously same colors. We're gonna focus on our biceps now, guys. So here we go. Don't need an anchor on the wall for this. My feet are just gonna be my anchor, okay? So make sure I center the bands from side to side there. And I like to get just a hair of a knee bend here, all right? Because it gives me more stability. And then I'm just gonna I like to really hold it at the top here for 1 or 2 count. So come up, contract 1, 2. 1, 2. Oh, dude, that rocks, guys. Trust me, that'll get your biceps pumped. All right, so remember how I was telling you multiple exercises for the same muscle group, you know, hits the muscle from different angles. Variety is very effective at building muscle as opposed to just picking one exercise and doing over and over. So I got a low anchor point here. I'm gonna do another bicep exercise. So I gotta get some tension to begin with here, guys. And I'm just gonna focus on trying to keep my elbow in one location. And these are just concentration curls here, guys. Slightly different angle with the way the bands are pulling back. I'm getting a really good stretch here because my elbow is slightly behind my torso. And then switching sides, same thing, step away. Elbows just a little behind me here. So because my elbow's behind me, like this, I'm getting more stretch in the bicep, all right? Because it's starting back here. That particular exercise is very similar to doing an incline curl at the gym where you're on a bench and you're kind of laying back and you got dumbbells and you're doing them like this because your elbow's back behind you. You start off with a really stretched, elongated bicep. Really very effective exercise. Throw it in to your workouts, especially if you guys are really worried about trying to build bigger arms. All right, so y'all probably seen some of my videos where I talk about shoulder exercises, and for guys with bad shoulders, I always recommend you do lateral raises with dumbbells. Well, let's see if we can do that with bands, all right? Now, remember, even with dumbbells, you can't use much weight. Most guys are using 5 or 10 pounds, so this is just a single band. I'm gonna step on it right here in the middle, okay? I'm gonna use my foot as an anchor point, and I'm just going to these are lateral raises, guys, with bands, and it feels fantastic. Now, if I go all the way to the bottom, the bands get kind of loose, all right? So there's no tension right here. So I typically stop about right here. So I still have some tension on my delts at the bottom of the movement. And then just hold it for a 2 count, guys, if you need to make it a little tougher. But man, this is plenty hard. Oh. And I actually have strong shoulders. I can use pretty heavy dumbbells at the gym doing lateral raises, much heavier than most guys. And just that single red band was tough. All right, guys, another shoulder exercise. And of course, this one's for guys whose shoulders aren't all screwed up. This is for guys who can actually push their hands above their head, okay, when they're doing shoulders. But I'm using the low anchors here with 2 sets of bands, stepping away. So I already got some tension right here, okay? And I'm just gonna go straight up. So no fly movement. This is a pressing movement. Oh man, I can feel it. Oh, great. Great burn, guys. See how many different upper body exercises you can do with bands? All right, if you got a bench, this is another great exercise for your chest. I'm using the low anchor point, and I got the bench, you know, kind of declined just a little bit here. And I mean, oh, this really helps stabilize your upper body, and you can just focus on just really contracting your pecs. And it squeeze right there. Squeeze your hands together. You're probably not going to be able to tell on the camera, but when I'm touching here, I'm not just touching my hands. I'm actually squeezing and forcing my hands together. I'm adding more resistance right there. And then I got plenty of resistance here. I had to move the bench a long way away from the wall. So at the very start of the movement, I already had plenty of tension. So scooch the bench as far away from the anchor points as you need to make sure you got some tension right here at the beginning of the movement. Whew. All right, guys. Another great exercise for your back and your rear delts, guys. Now you might notice that I've gotten this bench a long way away from the wall and those anchor points. That's because I needed plenty of tension, okay? And these bands at the beginning of the movement. So right here, And we're just gonna bring them out. Oh, my rear delts and all the muscles in my upper back, my traps, my rhomboids are really getting it right here, guys. Oh, oh, man, it's getting hot, but this is a great workout, guys. If you have a garage, of course, it's easy for you to do this. If you don't have a garage, see if your wife will let you drill a bunch of holes in the sheetrock and mount a bunch of those anchors. Tell her if she lets you do that, you're gonna look buff and ripped in just a few months. All right, guys, you really can get a good workout just with bands if you have the right setup. And then finally, guys, remember, you always have to stick with it and never give up on yourself.